and welcome back to the Coffee Breath Podcast. My name is Taylor. I hope that you're doing well today. I did a really nice calming and rebalancing meditation on the Headspace meditation app. Highly recommend. Not sponsored, but I could totally do a sponsorship if you'd like to. I don't know if they're still doing it. I'd have to check. You'd have to check. But I know that Headspace app was doing a free what am I trying to say? Like a free subscription for those who are unemployed during the pandemic right now. And I was just like, that is awesome. I knew that I loved you as a company, and now I love you even more. So definitely check out Headspace if you're looking for a little bit more of the peaceful and the mindful life. Or, there's a lot of other apps that are great out there. So whatever you need to do to get yourself more mindful and more peaceful and get your life together and live your best life, hey, that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just another sunny, beautiful day. I can't complain. I mean, I want to go to work. I want to get things going again, but I'm still just sitting at home. So I'm trying to find hobbies and things to do. Going to a brewery, one of my favorite breweries later. So we'll be sitting outside doing the whole social distancing thing. You wear your mask. And then once you sit down at your little table outside, that's, 6 feet away from another table, you take your mask off, you enjoy some beer, you enjoy some tacos, and you carry on with your life. So, again, you can still go out and do things. Just do it responsibly while we're still in a pandemic. But on the topic of breweries, I wanted to share with you my super embarrassing story from last weekend at a brewery. Oh my God. And I love embarrassing stories because embarrassing stories, yeah, they are the worst. Don't get me wrong, especially when they're about yourself. But everybody needs to have a good laugh at themselves. And I feel like, you gotta play things off, and it's also you learn from it. You also experience some humility, which is a huge a huge tool in the game of life and growing and evolving, because we all want to do that. I feel like that's the whole point of life, is to just learn, do experiences, grow, evolve. And sometimes along the way you have a really embarrassing story. I mean, it's not super embarrassing. It's not I peed my pants or something like that, which I do have those stories from 7th grade at a haunted house that I didn't even go into the haunted house yet. But that's maybe I'll share that story around Halloween time. And hopefully everybody stays in, just live responsibly, wear a mask, only go out to places that you need to. I know that I'm saying I'm going to a brewery later. Do I need to? No, but I'm going to be outside and I'm going to be wearing a mask. I'm not going to be, near people that I'm not in my immediate household. So I think that's fine. But where was I going with that? So the embarrassing story. It's not super embarrassing, but it is for me, because if you're like me, it could be the tiniest little interaction with someone that was maybe slightly awkward, and it'll keep me laying awake at night for months. I'll just be thinking about it. I'm constantly what is it, psychoanalyzing myself? Or I guess just analyzing myself. And, I feel like a lot of people do that. I just feel like I do it to a certain degree that I need to calm down a little bit. I need to take it easy on myself a little bit more. So the story. So we're at a brewery. I'm not going to name names, especially because there's maybe the few of you who are listening. You might know me, and I don't want to put names out there. So let's just name this brewery. We'll just call it the brewery. So we're sitting at the brewery outside, social distancing still. And we order our beers and we're looking around, and I thought I saw somebody that looked familiar from high school. But it's really hard right now because we're all wearing masks. And also, like, I'm just kind of like, I always feel like I know someone when I see them, and it turns out that I don't actually know them. And then I just embarrass myself because I'm like, hey, and then I'm like, oh no, I don't actually know you, but hello, hi, hope you're having a great day. Don't look at me. And then I run away. But no, I thought that I saw somebody that looked familiar from high school. And then we just go on, we're in discussion, and then and then I look back and I'm like, it's gotta be this guy. Let's call him Freddie Prinze Jr. So I'm like, that's gotta be Freddie Prinze Jr., but I don't know. And then I see him walk, and I'm like, I recognize those pigeon-toed feet from anywhere. Not a lot of people that I know walk like that. But it's like when I saw the walk, and half of the umbrella, or the umbrella was covering up like the top half of him, and all I saw was the walk, and I was like, that's Freddie Prinze Jr. That's him. That is him. So I knew that. Okay, so keep that in your memory. So I was like, that's got to be him. And I'm going along with conversation. And I guess this is kind of like a place where just like all the servers kind of take care of all the tables. Because we were already being taken care of by one woman. And then he came up and he asked if my roommate needed a beer. And then he was like, oh shit, if it's not Taylor, or like something along those lines. And then, oh my God. Okay, so here's the embarrassing part. So instead of just being like, oh shit, Freddie Prinze Jr., what's up, man? And just played it off. Like, oh yeah, he'll take this and then I'll take another one of these. And just kept it super simple. No, my brain, let me tell you what my fucking idiotic monkey reptilian brain did. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Everyone's wearing masks, so like, I don't know. And then that like trailed off just like awkwardly like that. And then I could feel that he felt uncomfortable. And then I felt uncomfortable. And then he was just like, oh, it's Freddie Prinze Jr. And I was like, oh, okay, what's up? Oh my God. And there's totally more to this story. So just like hang on to your bootstraps, okay? So he gets my roommate's beer order. He goes off, and then of course to the table, I'm like, oh my God, that's Freddie Prinze Jr. Totally knew who that was. Oh my God, how embarrassing was that? Like I totally came off like a bitch, didn't I? I was totally a bitch. I've got to apologize. And my room was like, yeah, it was bitchy, but okay. And there's more to this story. There's totally more to this story. But I'm gonna make you work for it. I'm gonna make you stick around and work for it, because let me tell you, it gets juicier. There's like piping hot tea to the end of this story. And I feel like ladies are gonna really want to stick around and listen to it, because you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I've had experiences like that too. I feel you, girl. Yeah, no, you're totally right for being a bitch. And my roommate was even like, yeah, no, you're a bitch, but, because he knows the story. So stick around for part 2. But to get into that, I wanted to get back to what I talked about of not being able to like process all of it. Like it's been like, this happened last weekend, and I'm still right now, like, oh God, maybe I should like find him on social media and like apologize to him, like, hey, I'm sorry if I came off bitchy, blah blah blah, because I want everyone to like me. And I know, isn't that like what everybody wants? We all want everybody to like us, of course. But it comes back to this deep rooted need of mine for like, even if you are my abuser, I'm still like, but I don't want them to not like me. Maybe I should reach out to them. Did I come off bitchy? So getting into that, like, I feel like I cannot metabolize. That's a good word for it. I really can't like metabolize things well, whether it's food. I get bloated as fuck. And I mean, it's definitely like the food that I'm eating. So like on that physical, like, oh, you put food and then you metabolize it. Like, yeah, there's that kind of way. But then there's also the metabolism of like, I don't want to sound like voodoo queen, like voodoo magic hippie queen, but there's like energetics. Like mental and emotional and like the energy that we exchange with like others, we have to metabolize that. Like I remember an example that one of my teachers shared with me was like, you're driving down the highway and you see a car crash, or whether it's like the aftermath of the car crash, or maybe it is the car crash and you drive past that and you witness it, and it's like, how long on your road trip are you going to keep thinking about it? Like it didn't happen to you, it happened to somebody else, which is, of course, is terrible. But it's, just for the example is, how long are you going to be thinking about that for an hour? Are you going to still be talking and thinking about it for the next day or the next week or the next month? Are you like, is this going to be affecting you for the rest of your life? So there's that kind of, metabolism. And it comes back to that need of like needing people to like me. And then I also take everything super personally. And then I feel that everyone else is taking everything super personally. So even if I maybe have like, I'm making like a resting bitch face because that is just my face. And maybe it is a little bitchy. Or maybe, I always do like squint because like this, like I'm really sensitive to the sun and so I'm constantly making that like furrowed look at people when they're talking to me, especially if I'm outside. So then I feel like, oh God, like what if they think that when I'm listening to what they're saying, that I'm, having this bitch face. Oh, and then again, it's just my thoughts, and that just takes me on a wild journey that I don't want to go down. So, I'm learning to not take things so personally. I mean, it's taken me a long time. Honey, I'm 31 years old, and it is taking me, it's taking me a while to get there. It's different for everybody. And I look at, like, people like Paris Hilton. I know, you're probably like, girl, what? Okay, where is this example going? But I look at somebody like Paris Hilton, and, a sex tape of hers comes out, and she's just like, whatever, that's hot. Like, she doesn't care. There's no shame. There's no embarrassment. She doesn't take anything personally, and that's awesome. Or another bad example, but like Regina George from Mean Girls. She gets the tits cut out of her shirt and her bra's showing through, and she just looks down and she's like, huh. And then she just like rocks it, and then it becomes a clothing trend throughout the high school. And it's shit like that where I'm like, man, can I just be more like that? Like without like the bitchy mean girl part. Can I just be more like that, where if somebody was to say something to me, or, maybe like do like a personal attack or a verbal attack or something like that, like against me, why can't I just be like, whatever, like your words don't affect me. And there's this great quote that is, I don't have it on here. It's what other people think or say about me is none of my business. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a really, really big, tough horse pill to swallow. But it is the truth. And so that's something that I wanted to talk about. Again, we'll get into part 2 of my juicy gossip hot tea story. But first, before we can actually get to that part, I have to talk about this because it's all gonna relate. It's all gonna come together full circle, or at least I'm gonna try my best to. So again, this got me thinking, like, why the fuck do I take everything so personally? I mean, yeah, my therapist and I have talked about it throughout the years of, it's through traumas and things like that, that you feel like you don't have a lot of self-worth and self-love. So of course that has something to do with it. But like that, setting that aside, I did a little YouTube research, and I found this really lovely woman. I'll link the video and her channel in the description below. But she talked about that. She was talking about like taking things personal, like how to combat that, and how to deal with that if that's something that you're experiencing. So I took some notes that I want to share with you. So it might feel like someone's done something against you, and it's nothing personal. Again, another big hard pill to swallow. It is nothing personal. They are doing it purely for themselves. It's nothing against you. They're not doing it for you. They're doing it for themselves. There's some sort of gain in that. They're more focused on themselves than they are on other people. And like everybody is. We're all just focused on ourselves for the most part. We're all just trying to survive in this wild, chaotic, beautiful world. But even if they are trying to make us miserable, because, sometimes it's something that we don't even realize that we said or that we did that might have hurt or affected somebody. And it was, not malicious. It was not intentional. But then she was saying, so even if they are trying to make us miserable, it's still not personal. Even if it is a personal attack on you, it's not personal. I know it sounds like it contradicts itself, but sorry, I have like a little like a little wheeze in my like a little whistle in my throat. So again, it's not personal. It's about their own misery, and that they're taking that on other people. And like misery loves company, and it makes other people feel more powerful when they put down other people and make them smaller. I mean, that's just kind of like a known given thing. This is also how they'll deal, or I should say like not deal with their insecurities and their emotions. And like honestly, like deep down, we're all just like a bunch of kids on a playground looking to get accepted into the next game of kickball or like Foursquare. We all want to be liked. We all want to be accepted. But when we don't like ourselves, we take that shit out on everybody else. We take that shit on everybody else. It's very twisted. It's not healthy. It's very unhealthy. But again, it is not about us. If they are doing an attack, it's not about us. And even if it's somebody who's really angry at you, like even if they lash out at you, it's because they're angry and they don't know how to process their emotions. And a lot of people aren't taught by their parents or really society, which is, it should be the parents. A lot of people aren't taught how to deal with their emotions, especially anger. A lot of times, the deep-rooted emotion of anger is just sadness. So the next time you see like that person that bullied you from high school, just be like, oh my God, you must have been so sad, like you must have been so sad at home that when every day you came to school and you like bullied people or you bullied me. That was really like, you're bullying yourself, dude. And, we've all bullied. We've all done, there's a spectrum to it. We've all been mean. We've all been crass. We've all been cruel in certain ways, especially when we're kids because we're learning. And kids can be cruel, dude. Kids can be cruel. But again, it's not about you. And everyone is just like too concerned with themselves. For example, I teach yoga, or, I was teaching yoga in a studio, not right now, but, a lot of people, especially beginners, they think, well, everyone's going to be looking at me. And I thought the same thing too. And then you get on your mat and you're like, you're so in your head, even if you're like standing across from somebody, you could be looking at them and you could just be like, oh shit, don't fall in tree pose. You know, like you're so focused on what's going on in yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody's looking at you. And that's something that I always have to remind myself. Like, nobody fucking cares about you, Taylor. Like, not in a mean way. Like, not like, oh, if you died, like, nobody would fucking care. No, like, people care. But, you know what I mean? Like, nobody fucking cares. So why should you care? If they're not going to sweat it, why should you sweat it? So here are 3 tips of how to get out of it that she shared. So, number 1, you want to ask yourself, why am I finding this so upsetting? What about this is bothering me? So, like, get curious and, like, just sit with it and see what comes up for you. Number 2, what am I making this mean? Most of the time, it's not the situation that is creating this upset. It's our interpretation of the situation that is creating this upset. So again, the question, what am I actually making this mean? If it's the feeling of rejection or someone doesn't like me or care about me, am I making it mean that I'm a loser, that I'm not worthy, that I'm not valuable enough, that I'm not enough, that I'm not deserving of love? That's, that's what upsets us. That's what truly deep down upsets us. It's not the situation. Normally, that situation hits a trigger in us from past pains. So it's not like, oh, Sally was mean to me at the mall today. It's like, no, Sally was mean to me at the mall today, and that really triggered a memory in me of back when, second grade and Bobby was mean to me on the playground. Or, it's a collection of past pains that it's like that saying, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. So, somebody could even, you could even, here, let me try to make this more simple in my brain to get it out to you. I will complain and bitch about things to my roommate, and normally he's just like, man, you are so dramatic about things. But it's like, it's the collection. It's the piling up of shit that then I'm just like exploding about something. But he sees it as like, the bitch fucking freaked out because, our other roommate's been slamming the door. It's like, of course, slamming the door is not... It's not a real issue. That's not a real life issue. But it's just a collection of like things that build up, and then you just kind of like explode. But to another like outsider, they're just kind of like, girl, what the fuck are you freaking out about? Or another example, my stepfather in high school, so like 15, 16 years ago, he suffered a brain aneurysm and a stroke. And so he was, had a traumatic brain injury, was disabled. My mother had to become a full-time caregiver for him. And, she also experienced a trauma with that. She almost lost her husband. And then she had to, help take care of him now that he's disabled. And I remember it was like that first month of him being back home after being in rehab and surgeries and this and that. And we were at home, and we ran out of paper towels. And I remember she freaked out. And I remember just thinking like, oh my God, is this how people freak out when we run out of paper towels? Like, what the fuck? What? Oh my God. And then I made sure that I was like tiptoeing around every single thing and like, because I didn't want, oh my God, if she's going to freak out about we're out of paper towels, then I don't want to tell her that I'm like getting an F in history or something, But now I look back and I'm like, of course, Taylor, it wasn't about the paper towels. It was because she was so fucking stressed out and so emotionally just like fucked up and tired and scared. And, we ran out of paper towels, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And that memory just like really sits with me to this day. Where are we on time? All right. So then number 3 is, when did I feel like this in the past? And so this is going to be, those are 3 great questions. And they're in my notebook. I'm going to be using them to this day. Why am I finding this so upsetting? What about this is bothering me? What am I making this mean? And when did I feel like this in the past? So part two to this whole story and saga. So I felt bitchy. I felt like I had to apologize. And I think especially as women, we, as just from our society, we're like taught that it's like the dog that gets beaten will still go back to the owner with unconditional love. As women, for some fucked up reason, we were taught societally that, it's like, oh, you have to be kind and courteous to everybody, even if it's somebody that might have done something not so appropriate to you. So with Freddie Prinze Jr., back in high school, so like literally 15, 16 years ago, I remember being in class, and he was like we had like multiple classes together. And I remember he was one of the only people that I really talked to, like, in those classes. Like, it wasn't like a clique or anything, but he was just, one of the classmates that I kind of had more of a friendship with. And I remember one day we were sitting down and we were watching some projector or some movie or, something. So the lights were off, so it was kind of dark, and everyone's focus is on the screen. And we're kind of sitting towards the back of the class. And so I don't even think there was anybody behind us. Nobody really to the sides of us. And I remember he was wearing those breakaway those breakaway athletic pants and like Adidas pants. And he had his legs, man spread, of course. And he was kind of sitting back. And he was doing it. This is totally inappropriate. So if you're under 18, turn this off. But he was doing, well, no, you shouldn't even be listening to this in the first place. But he was doing this thing with his dick. He was doing this thing with his dick where in his pants, they're sweatpants. So it's just air and very thin cloth. And he was doing this thing with his dick that he would do it like this. If you're listening to this, you're like, what? I can't see what you're doing, Taylor. So you should watch this on YouTube. But he was pumping it up. So it was kind of thrusting itself up, kind of doing a half bicep curl. And he was got my attention to look at it. And of course, in that moment, most moments of my young adult life, when I was put into situations that were not appropriate, nor cool, nor consensual at the time, I just kind of was yeah, and then was just shaking as I turned my attention back to the screen. And then he took my hand to touch it, and then that's where my brain just totally blacks out. And I remember pulling away and then just being I can't talk to Freddie Prinze Jr. anymore, and then was just kind of I distanced myself from him. Was always, nice to him, but just distance myself a little bit. So note to anybody that ever experiences that, distance yourself, girl or boy or alien or whatever that you identify yourself as. Distance yourself from people that give you that feeling, So, I mean, that wasn't totally hot, juicy, piping, steaming, boiling tea, but, it's just, it goes back to that, I do that juggling routine in my head of, oh man, I was such a bitch. And I wasn't, and I knew that I was being it. I intentionally was being it. Remember, from the beginning of the story, I was that's Freddie Prinze Jr. I know those anybody that I know that's how he walked. And I was I know those legs. I know those pigeon feet. That's Freddie Prinze Jr. And again, I could have just been like, oh yeah, what's up, dude? Like, what's going on? Or even just played it off that like, that I didn't even know. A lot of people do that. You don't remember somebody, you're like, hey, you, what's going on, you? Wow, you're looking great, and you just bullshit your way through it. Fake it till you make it. But no, I intentionally was like, oh, I don't remember. Like, who are you? Because I can't see with the mask on. Like a fucking idiot. And that was me not being a fucking grown-ass woman. And God, maybe that's the reason why I want to like go back in time. Maybe that's the reason why it keeps me up at night is, of course there's that consciousness of like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have been so cruel to him, so mean to him. But then I think more along the line is the love of like, I wasn't being strong in that moment. Because trying to put somebody down and making them feel smaller, that was a personal attack on him. And I should not have done that. But then I kind of go to the other side and I step over the line. I'm like, let me justify this though, because he tried to make me touch his penis in class, But then again, I go back and forth and I'm like, I don't know what to do and I'm tired of juggling. If you've ever had an experience like that, let me know. I mean, if you feel comfortable enough, share that. I love if people can just like share their stories. Sorry, if you're watching this, you're probably like, why does she keep touching her sideburns? Because they're little sideburns and they're flapping in the breeze that is the fan of my room. But yeah, we really need to stop taking things personally, but also remember that quote, what others think or say about you is none of your business. It's none of your business. And do your best to live a life that you're kind and compassionate to everybody and you stick up for what's right. And, you don't like belittle somebody, even if they may have made you feel uncomfortable or may have wronged you. Because that's what I did. And I think that was a no-no. And I wish that I could go back. And I wish that I could have just been like, oh, yeah, what's up, Freddie Prinze Jr.? Hey, can I get the blah, blah, blah beer? That would have been better. And also to not, because it's when somebody hurts us, we want to hurt them back, right? And just a little bit more. Jab that sword in just a little deeper than they did to us. But that's not good. That's not a good thing to do. And so it's embarrassing on multiple levels. I feel like I embarrassed him, which embarrasses me because that's not in my character. And I have many character defects, but I'm trying to do my best. And maybe just this acknowledgement of it, that's just like the first, I guess that's the start. Because then next time, I can make sure that I don't react in that way. I can respond instead of reacting. But again, some things trigger. It's that straw that breaks the camel's back. And, I'm like cracking my fingers. It just makes me so mad when I get triggered of, past memories like that. And of course, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like, who are you? And it's not like I sat there for like 15 minutes being like, how can I destroy this man? No, it happened in like a blink of an eye. I was like, are those feet? And then he like turned around and then he came over and I was like, I don't know, who are you? But then it was nice the rest of the time. Like then he came back, he dropped off the beers, and then like there was another time. I mean, he definitely didn't look at me for the rest of the evening. And then that's when I really felt bad. I was like, oh my, I probably made him feel embarrassed. And that's not good. So Freddie Prinze Jr., I'm sorry. I am sorry. And I also forgive you for trying to make me touch your like fist pumping dick in your breakaway Adidas pants in whatever class that was when I was like 15 years old. And that's not the only story where somebody has made or wanted me to touch their penis in class. Like, what that is, that's fucked up. That's a story for another time. But I thought that, and quite honestly, after this happened, I was like, I need to get on the podcast and I need to talk about this right away. Oh my God. And I think it also comes back to us like holding ourselves accountable too, you know? Knowing maybe when we've crossed the line, when we stepped over a little bit. Because again, I felt like I was being strong because I was like puffing my chest up and I'm like, who are you? But no, it would have just been better if I was like fucking chill, laid back, like, you don't bother me. I am unbothered by you. But no, I had to be an actual like Regina George in that moment. Or maybe that would have been like a Gretchen Wiener, whatever her name was. Gretchen Wiener, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to just repeat those 3 questions just one more time, just in case this is something that's really like hitting home for you. If I can find them. Because I didn't memorize them. So 1, why am I finding this so upsetting? What about this is bothering me? It's kind of like, like 2 for 1. What am I making this mean? Like, what am I making this about? And when did I feel like this in the past? And just sit with it. Because let me tell you, I'll sit and lay there wide awake at night, asking myself those 3 questions over and over and over again. Let's get into some tarot. This is a long episode, guys. I apologize, but then I'm like, do I apologize? Because this is my episode and I want to talk about what I want to talk about for however long I want to talk about. But I understand, like, listening to one person for like more than 30 minutes, that's probably got to be hard. But I'm just so interesting, right? Another embarrassing moment. God, embarrassing stories though. Again, you got to have a good laugh at yourself. Well, with that being said, with a laugh, what's the card of the day? What do I need to laugh about today? Or laugh at myself about today? Splitting the deck into 3. Back into one pile, pick the first card. We have the 3 of Pentacles. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to remember, like, what was last week? I want to say last week was the Daughter of Swords, possibly. But I also do this every day, so I can't remember. I can't fucking remember. So 3 of Pentacles. Teamwork, determination, and focus. The task ahead is a momentous one, usually related to your job or career. The 3 of Pentacles suggests that you must focus all your efforts. Discipline, strategy, and hard work are needed more than ever. If you become wary or overwhelmed, rely on those around you. This is a card of teamwork, so you may need strength of others to conquer the mountain. And that's so true. We can't... A lot of things in life we need to do alone, but when you're struggling, when you need help, definitely reach out. We cannot do everything alone. Especially, like, we're tribal people, That's what humans are. We need to be with others. We're pack animals. So reach out when you need it. Focus, determination, strategy, plan in your career, or maybe like your hobbies too, or just what you want to do in life. And let that kind of sit, sink, and mellow. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. I had a great time. I love sharing embarrassing stories about myself, so plan on hearing more of them. There is definitely more to come. Again, I learn from them. Maybe you can learn from them. And maybe they can keep you from doing stupid things. If you can learn, if I can do them all for you, And then like you don't have to do it, you know? You can like learn from me. So that way you can live your best life. Have a great day. Stay safe. Social distance, but still go out and live your life. Wear a mask. Stay beautiful. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.